Hello, everyone. Welcome to the holiday edition of Stacking the Box. It is Christmas. It is also, more importantly, today, Festivus. So I would like to wish a happy Festivus for the rest of us. Iain MacMillan here, Sterling Holmes. We got a jam-packed show today because obviously we're not going to do our Wednesday episode on Christmas Day. So we're going to recap Week 16. We're going to talk Monday Night Football, and then we're also going to preview Week 17, which is going to be a big one. Sterling, how's it going?
Good. Ho, ho, ho. We're Santa Claus giving out all the games, baby. We're doing it all right now.
Yes. Speaking of Santa Claus, I'm wearing my Santa Claus golfing sweater. He's hitting a nice little putt there. Santa Claus. He's a 4 handicap. People don't know that. He's actually very good at golf. We got a lot to get through, Sterling, so let's jump into it. But before we do, Underdog is the best place to cash in on all of your takes this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps and turn your sports opinions into real money. Join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their Pick'em game. You could win money by making entries with your favorite players. Underdog is the best place to play champions. So sign up and deposit now using promo code Stacking the Box. All one word, Stacking the Box, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. I went a little bold on my Underdog lineup there this past Thursday. Did not get that Derwin James interception that I was looking for. Don't have a lineup for tonight, but I will make one. See if I can quickly make one by the end of the show and give it out. Sterling.
That was close, though, in that Derwin James interception. We were watching together, and I texted you. I go, did he just rip that out and get that interception for you? And then it was, I don't know if it was overturned or not, but it was darn close. So you had a good call. You went bold. You got close, but unfortunately, close doesn't cut it.
Close only counts in
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Amen. Also, sometimes it is close. Close does count in Underdog because if you take a player in the lineup that gets injured and leaves the game, you get injury insurance. Yeah. So close does sound. It counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and Underdog Fantasy. Download the app today and use Stacking the Box to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's a nice little holiday gift. Higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog. Code Stacking the Box is all one word. Stacking the Box must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Trevor Rogan, Josh Allen cost me my fantasy season and still won. And he's still a big favorite to win MVP, which I was a little bit surprised. I thought the betting odds would get a little bit closer after Lamar had a really good game against the Steelers, and Josh Allen did enough, but he didn't have a vintage Josh Allen game against the Patriots.
Well, no, that was vintage Josh Allen.
In what way?
Like rookie year. Vintage.
Yes.
Yeah, vintage.
Right.
In that way. Yeah, that's sure his old Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen still minus 450 to win MVP. So Lamar did close the gap a little bit, but we're going to need another week like that for him to have any kind of shot here. For Lamar Jackson win his second straight MVP. All right, let's get through Week 16. A few key storylines here. I guess we can start with your Chiefs if you want, Sterling. They did look impressive in their win against the Texans. The Patrick Mahomes, who was supposedly injured, did not look injured whatsoever, threw for like 290 yards or something like that. I actually think that might have been the most impressive Chiefs win this season.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, after the game, there was not a ton to really rant and rave about or complain. There was you'll still see the same folks, mostly Boston fans, which is the weird part, on Twitter complaining about the refs, which was weird in a 2-score game. They keep going back to the one where Mahomes had the obvious forward pass, and they called it a forward pass, and for some reasons, Boston fans thought it was a fumble. I'm like, if you don't know football and if we can't agree here, you're clearly just finding ways to try and be a hater. But you're right. Patrick was injured, but he never said he was injured extremely bad. Like, I don't know where that narrative came from. I don't know. Like, again, did he have a high ankle sprain? Yes. Do those hurt? And are they limiting? Yes. Did he ever say that it was debilitating? No. He had said it is much better, not as bad, way less severe than the one that happened in the playoff game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he had to at least take a little bit of time off. So I don't know where this national narrative came of, oh, well, he must be faking it. Have you seen his ankles? Those things were taped to an inch of their life. He could not move horizontally at all in that game. When you saw him run, and he ran actually early in that game because the Texans basically dared him to multiple times, he had to run in a complete straight line. It was hilarious trying to watch him run. He just had so much time that it worked. He was outstanding. The defense was great for the most part. The lack of pressure would be like the only concerning tidbit in this game. But offensively, you saw what could happen with Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy on the field at the same time. This Chiefs team looking like they are rounding into form at the right time.
Yeah, I have very little to, I'm not just going to come on and make up hate against the Chiefs. I will say there was like a 10-minute stretch where like the Texans got a lot of penalties, and there were a couple questionable ones. There was an offensive or a pass interference one that just didn't exist, that they called a penalty on the Texans. But I mean, that's going to happen in some games. That's not enough for me to come on here and complain about. Jalen says, when the Chiefs play their A game, I think the only team that can potentially take them down are the Eagles. I disagree. I still think the Ravens can take them down. The Lions can take them down. The Eagles can take them down. The Bills can take them down. All those teams will also have to play their A game for sure. But the Chiefs aren't the best team in the NFL, or second best, or third best.
They are the second best team in the NFL. It's them and the Eagles. I don't know how we would even argue that at this point. That's fine.
I mean, every single metric and measurable thing that you could actually look at would disagree with that, except for record.
Yeah, go ahead to yards per play.
Yeah, we could. I don't have net yards per play up in front of me, but yeah, they're like below average in net yards per play. Now they're better at some more advanced numbers. Like they're very good at success rate. Their EPA numbers are decent. But outside of record, there's not a single. Sterling, I didn't want to come on the show and shit on the Chiefs. I thought we were going to have a little handshake meme. It's the holidays. The Chiefs had their best game of the season. I'm not arguing that. The Chiefs look the most impressive they have all season.
Just found out, everyone, wins actually don't matter. It's the hypothetical wins that matter more. Just so everyone knows, that's what matters. Don't care about the wins and losses. What matters more to Ian is, well, where are your yards, your net yards per play? Sorry, I had to put the word net in there.
When you're a fan and all you care about is winning the Super Bowl, literally the record is the only thing that matters.
Yes.
If you take a step back and you're having hypothetical arguments, which we're having right now, which is what teams are the best teams in the NFL, then you have to take things a little bit of a step further to evaluate teams. What are their numbers looking like? Advanced metrics, statistics, things like that. If every single argument is just only standings, then don't even look at stats. It shouldn't exist. Chiefs are Chiefs Super Bowl favorites now. Well, it's probably because they basically locked up the number 1 seed. But we'll see. Listen, I still think they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. And actually, the fact that they have the number 1 seed actually benefits that argument for me, because now their first game is going to be against a much tougher team. The one and done argument would have been tough if they're like the 2 seed, and then they'd have to play the Broncos or the Colts if they get in the first round. Then that would have been a tough argument to make. Now they'll have to play
the bye, which is always tough. The bye is always a very
difficult. That's not a game, so that wouldn't be one and done. Trying to think of it still might be any, because really it's the Bills and Ravens, and they're probably going to be 2 and 3.
We have that double or nothing bet, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm confident with it. And one of the reasons why I'm confident with that bet, Sterling, because the Atlanta Falcons, here's the story of the day. This is what everyone wants to talk about this morning. Nobody cares about the Chiefs. The Atlanta Falcons, baby. The Penix era has begun, and we are back in first place in the NFC South. It really is a little holiday treat just to look at the NFL playoff picture and see that it is the Falcons in there as the division leader right now. So right now, 4th seed, the Atlanta Falcons, 8-7. I thought when the Commanders beat the Eagles, I thought we were screwed, because then that basically locked up the wild card spot for the Commanders. And then the Buccaneers had the Cowboys, Saints, and Panthers in their last 3 games. I thought the Falcons were going to go 10-7 and get screwed. Thankfully, the Cowboys came through for me last night. What a game. What a win. And that has now handed destiny back to the hands of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I will say, I am nervous because the Falcons are still underdogs to win the division, and it's because they have an extremely difficult game. Sunday Night Football, Week 17, which is going to be a banger. Jaden Daniels, Micahel Penix, playoffs on the line. I think Commanders officially lock up a playoff spot with a win. Falcons have a chance, depending on the Bucs-Panthers game earlier that day, to lock up the NFC South with a win. If the Panthers can beat the Buccaneers, which they went to overtime last time they played, if they can beat the Buccaneers in the afternoon, Falcons might win the NFC South Sunday night.
Well, the Panthers went to overtime and won again last night. So
yeah, Panthers. It's not as easy of a win as it looked like 8 weeks ago.
They're feisty. Shout out Brandon Aubrey. I was out of fantasy football, and Brandon Aubrey threw a nice little 21er. So shout out you, Brandon Aubrey, and also shout out you for helping Iain. Right, it makes our bets actually more interesting. I was tired of just beating up on Iain. I mean, I felt bad. I'm not going to kick a dog while he's down. That's just rude of me. So shout out to you for keeping Iain alive. What did you see for Micahel Penix, though? Because the numbers were fine, right? They were fine. It was mostly the Giants being absolute and utter disgrace offensively. A couple of defensive touchdowns for Atlanta. Bijan Robinson was outstanding. What did you take away from Micahel Penix Jr.?
Yeah, so I actually watched the Falcons game. Usually most of my attention's on Red Zone in the early slate. I had Red Zone on in the background instead and put the Falcons on the main TV. I think that was a perfect start for Micahel Penix because, number one, I mean, we scored 2 defensive touchdowns. So the pressure was off him fairly quick. The Giants did get out to an early lead, but kind of it was over after that pretty quickly. And he actually looked extremely good. I actually think he looked better than his numbers. His one interception was a perfect pass to Kyle Pitts, who they need to cut that man immediately. It hit Kyle Pitts in the hand, and they went, ooh, 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 and then just handed it to a defender. It was one of the most wild interceptions I've ever seen. So that's not a true interception. And there's also like 3 other like wide open drops. I'm curious if people always bring it up, but I wonder if it actually is true. Like, is it harder to catch a spiral from a lefty if you're not used to? Like, you've been catching balls from Kirk Cousins all season. Now you have to catch from a lefty. Does that actually make a difference? Because it kind of seemed like it this past weekend, because there were like 3 or 4 wide open, just hit in the hand drops.
I would think at least a little bit. I mean, I don't know if that excuses the drops from NFL players who are getting paid millions of dollars to catch said football, but the spiral at least is opposite, right? When it's going your way, the spiral is opposite. Maybe when you're trying to catch and go from a certain aspect, you're expecting it to spin in a certain way. I don't know, but I do think there is at least something there. I don't know how much, but there's something.
Other than that, he looked good. He looked very strong in the pocket, like he's shrugging off some arm tackles. One of his issues in college was he didn't do well throwing over the middle. He had some beautiful passes over the middle, so that was good. So I'm hopeful. Now, is he going to be able to play well enough to beat the Commanders this Sunday and lead us to the playoffs and a playoff win? Probably not, if I'm being kind of unbiased and honest. But I saw good enough things that, like, even if he plays to that level these next 2 weeks and they don't make the playoffs, I'm going to be pretty hopeful heading into next year. He looked like a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and Kirk's done, right? Like, he is for sure.
Yeah, unless Penix gets hurt. Yeah. Micahel Penix, Rookie of the Year, yes. How about this for a deal? Winner of Sunday Night Football between Jaden Daniels and Micahel Penix wins Rookie of the Year. How about that?
Where's Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers?
On the odds list, it's Jaden Daniels right now, minus 20,000.
And then what? Bo Nix?
And then Brock Bowers, 28-1. Bo Nix, 60-1. McConkey's not on the list.
That's BS. Ladd McConkey deserves to be on the list.
Yeah. Bucky Irving, Brian Thomas, and Malik Neighbors are the other 3. Ladd McConkey's better than Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. Haters.
All right. Speaking of Commanders, they beat the Eagles, stay alive in the NFC East. That was a heartbreaker. Lost my bet. Thought I lost the Falcons' playoff hopes. That was a tough game, especially for a guy who's kind of, I wouldn't say I've been a Commanders hater, but I've been kind of banking on them regressing a little bit. That was not a regression game, but a little lucky having Jalen Hurts go down for the game early.
Yeah, was that first quarter when he went down? I'm pretty sure.
First quarter, yeah.
But Kenny Pickett came in and immediately threw a great touchdown pass to A.J. Brown. I mean, he orchestrated a great drive when he came in, so I thought, okay. And quite frankly, Kenny Pickett looked pretty good early on in that game. It just wasn't enough. Jaden Daniels, you saw why I mean, my goodness, some of those throws. That one to Terry McLaurin, great job by Scary Terry, keeping his feet in bounds, over the shoulder. That thing was glorious. But just the deep balls, the stones, the in your own end zone, throwing a 50-yard pass. Daniels is incredible, man. I mean, he really is. I'm just so impressed with his poise, his arm strength, his accuracy, the consistency. And again, this has been an Eagles defense that had been really good in recent weeks. You and I have been talking about how good the Eagles have been. I mean, yeah, Jalen Hurts went down, but that defense is still stout. And Daniels tore them apart, especially in the second half. That was very impressive.
Yeah, good win for the Commanders. Still alive in the NFC East technically, but they would have to win out, and the Eagles would have to lose to the Cowboys and the Giants back-to-back weeks. Probably not going to happen. Quick little update in the AFC playoff picture here. The Colts and Dolphins and Bengals are all technically still alive. But the Chargers would have to lose both to the Raiders and the Patriots. They just need to win one more to clinch that. That's not going to happen. So really we're looking at the Broncos losing out and probably the Bengals getting in would be the, I don't know who would have the tiebreaker if it's like a three-way tie. Like if the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals all win out and the Broncos lose out, I don't really know who gets in there. But those teams are going to be big fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Chiefs. Because if the Chiefs win that game, they lock up number 1 seed, right? On Christmas.
Correct.
And if that's the case, they'll probably rest their starters, which will then... I think they do.
Yeah, they would lock up with Steelers win. Yes, correct.
Yeah, because they would have to they'd have to lose, yeah. So then they're going to rest their starters against the Broncos in Week 18. We're probably, I mean, we've seen weird things happen in those situations, but that would certainly increase the likelihood of the Broncos winning in Week 18 if they need to, and that will cut off the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals.
Yeah.
It's going to be Chargers 6 seed, Broncos 7 seed.
Yeah. I would be very surprised if it wasn't that.
Although I did place a $20 bet on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl at 150-1. I think it was 150-1, $20.
Could have bought a new golf glove.
I don't know if I could for $20.
Oh yeah, where are you buying your golf gloves? Go to Costco, pal.
But I mean, imagine if the Bengals do get in, and that's not a crazy situation. They beat the Broncos, and then the Chiefs beat the Broncos in Week 18, and the Bengals beat the Steelers, I think. Does any team want to play the Bengals in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think any team in the AFC wants to play the Bengals come playoff time.
Really? I'd rather play
Have you seen the Bengals defense?
I'd rather play the Texans than the Bengals. I'd rather play the Chargers than the Bengals, even though the Chargers beat them earlier in the year, and I'd probably rather play the Broncos than the Bengals.
The Bengals are 6-8.
I understand that, but their offense is so good that
their games just come
down. That means their games just come down to the final possession, and when games come down to the final possession, anything can happen.
Yeah, and Zach Taylor's also a horrible head coach. Yes, I like almost any other team's odds in the AFC who are currently in the playoff picture than the Bengals.
Okay, fair enough. Wow. Well, yeah, I forgot you're a Bengals hater. Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm not a hater. Joe Burrow's incredible. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are outstanding. Trey Hendrickson's awesome. I like a lot of players on the Bengals. I'm not even a Jamar hater. Like, I really enjoy Jamar Chase. I love him playing the villain role a lot of times, too. I think he's very good at it. I think Zach Taylor's a boob.
NFC playoff picture, we're down to 9 teams. AFC West actually decent this year. Yeah, AFC West is actually pretty decent. Everyone except for the Raiders. 9 teams left in the NFC. It is the Falcons and Buccaneers. I haven't done the NFL playoff machine to see if the Buccaneers can get the wild card spot if they finish at 10-7. They definitely obviously need the Commanders to lose out. The Seahawks still alive in the NFC West, but now that path gets a lot more difficult. If the Seahawks lose to the Bears on Thursday night and the Rams beat the Cardinals, it's over.
Yeah, that was
That was a heartbreaker for Seattle.
tough, man. That was a real tough game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a tough game to begin with. I mean, like, who you're playing, very difficult. But I thought Seattle was going to pull it out. They had more to play for. That's hard, man. I feel for Seahawks fans.
Yeah, I don't know. No, Tampa Bay beat Washington, so they would have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So if the Commanders lose out, the Buccaneers win out, and the Falcons win out, it'd be Falcons division winner. It'd be Buccaneers wild card because Buccaneers beat the Commanders in week 1. So they'd have the head-to-head. But the Commanders will probably beat either the Falcons or Cowboys. Cowboys are tough, though. Is Cooper Rush good?
Good's a strong word.
Is he average? He might be average.
Maybe average. The deep ball is actually really impressive.
He was very impressive last night.
But it's not just CeeDee Lamb. It'll be like Brandon Cooks or Tolbert. Like, he just...
Yeah.
He gives his receivers chances, and his receivers make plays. I will say there's a lot of struggle once they get to midfield. Evidenced by Brandon Aubrey kicking, 350-plus yarders in that game. But still, he might be average.
And I'll give credit to that team eliminated from the playoffs, but they played hard last night and with passion.
What does that say about Mike McCarthy? Like, that's what I don't know. That's why I never know what to think of Mike McCarthy. To me, it's the most, is he a bad head coach? Is he an average head coach? Is he maybe a good head coach, but because of Jerry Jones and all that is, like, I have no idea what to make of Mike McCarthy. He's won a lot of regular season games. His team clearly plays hard for him.
Yeah.
Playoff time, been a different story, but the fact his team did not roll over down this stretch right here, man, you got to give a lot of credit. They must like playing for him.
All right, Monday Night Football. Do you have anything to say about this? Packers 2 touchdown favorites to the Saints. Packers are pretty much, I didn't mention them in the playoff picture, but they're basically locked into the 6th seed. They can't improve. They can't get worse. They're kind of just already locked in the 6th seed. So does that affect how they play tonight? Maybe not.
What I need to win money for fantasy football finals, this is the championship, and no one cares about it. No one cares. It's like my dreams. I understand. Josh Jacobs, if you're listening, please go off. Please, Josh Jacobs, for me. Give me a Christmas present, Josh. I need you.
I need the Packers defense. So if I get a defensive touchdown, that'd be big.
Oh, no, I'm playing against the Packers defense.
Oh,
we have to go opposite on Christmas Eve.
On Festivus.
For the rest of us.
I don't really think there's much else that needs to be said about this game. Spencer Rattler starting. Packers are 2 touchdown favorites. They'll win comfortably. Will they cover the spread? That'll be interesting down the stretch. But other than that, this game kind of stinks for Monday Night Football.
The Packers are going to score like 2 defensive touchdowns and just rip my heart out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, nothing else to say about that game. Let's move on to Week 17 preview. We're going to go over most games here. There's a couple games that we're not going to touch on. We're not going to touch on the Saints and the Raiders. Nobody cares. So let's
the Derek Carr revenge game with Derek Carr not playing.
Yeah. The Raiders, by the way, really hurt their draft position, but players don't care about draft position.
No.
That was a nice win for a bet for me. One of my few of the week. All right, let's start with Christmas Day games. The Chiefs against the Steelers. Chiefs 2.5-point road favorites in Pittsburgh. You're the Chiefs guy. Take it away. Thoughts on this game on Christmas Day?
Yeah, 2.5, I guess, makes sense. Both teams on a short week, so wonky things happen. Again, you know my thoughts on the short week, and they played on Saturday. Now you're playing on Wednesday. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Bleep the NFL for even playing football on a Wednesday on Christmas. That's absurd. That's the NBA day. I digress. I don't know what to make of it. Iain, you know my thoughts on short rest games. I will say recently it feels like short rest games have gotten better, which is weird as the season's gone on. You think that more players and teams will be more banged up and more tired. I feel like Thursday Night Football has actually been more enjoyable as the season's progressed. Maybe Wednesday night or Wednesday day, it'll be fine. On paper, the Chiefs should win by more than 3. The Chiefs are coming off of back-to-back really good games. Defensively, they're starting to really turn things around. And offensively, this last game with Hollywood back really showed what this offense could do. But the game's not played on paper. It's played on Wednesday during the day. The Chiefs blew Christmas last year, but that's in the back of their mind.
Who did they lose to on Christmas last year?
The Raiders.
Oh, yikes. Injuries. Are you concerned about Chris Jones?
No, even if he sits out, like I am more concerned about guys getting injured worse. If that makes sense. I'm concerned about guys not being able to get healthy come playoff time. You miss Chris Jones for one game, you're taking a step back, of course. But you can piecemeal it together for one game and be okay.
Yeah, but when I'm thinking of like betting this game or kind of predicting the outcome, George Pickens is reportedly, I think, on track to be back for the Steelers. Chris Jones could be out for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have someone else who DJ Humphries, I think, might be missing this game.
Yeah, but Joe Tooney's been playing left tackle and playing a pretty good, serviceable left tackle at that. So that's not quite as big a deal. DJ Humphries has missed the last 2 games.
Still, I think if you're to say which team would have an advantage based on the injury report, I think it's the Steelers, especially if they get George Pickens back, because they have not been the same offensively with no George Pickens.
Agreed.
And if he doesn't play, then it's not looking good.
No, agreed. Definitely agree.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, the Chiefs coming off a good win against the Texans. If they can kind of dominate the Steelers and win this game by double digits, then you got to think, are they finally flipping the switch on? Are they going to turn into the Chiefs of the past couple of years and go on a run? I'll be a full disclosure, and this might shock you, Sterling. I'm going to be a big Steelers fan on Christmas Day. Big Steelers fan.
Let the hate out of your heart.
No. Absolutely not. Also, I want the Bengals to sneak in the playoffs. I want Week 18 to mean something for Kansas City. I need them to play their starters against the Broncos. I really want Buffalo to get the number 1 seed. I want the Chiefs to lose. I'm a big Steelers fan over here. Other Christmas Day game, Ravens and Texans. It's a rematch of their playoff game last year. The Ravens dominated them. A lot of injuries in this one, especially to wide receivers. Tank Dell going down for the Texans in what was a nasty injury, to say the least. Zay Flowers, questionable for this week. John Mechie, questionable for this week. The Texans receiving core is going to be Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and Xavier Hutchinson is the other guy.
Yeah. Dalton Schultz is a good tight end, at least. So you at least have that going for you.
Yeah, good. He's not great. Not a game changer, but he's consistent.
Oh, weird. I said good, not great or a game changer, but that's fine.
That's fair. Touche.
I don't know, man. CJ Stroud's a damn good quarterback, so I never count him out of any game. Their offensive line looked good against Kansas City, but that's also because Kansas City's defensive line played a really poor game, in my opinion, for the majority of that game. Yeah, I like the Ravens. I bet the Ravens even cover, which you know me in the 3.5. I hate the hook, but I'll take the Ravens with the point, even with them giving the hook in this one.
Texans defense has been pretty solid this year. Not a great game against the Chiefs, but EPA-wise, one of the better defenses in the NFL. I'm interested to see how their defensive scheme fares against Baltimore. Did not fare well against them last year in the playoffs, but that kind of man-on-man, playing receivers uptight kind of defense. I'm interested to see how that works this time around. I have a pick for this game. I'll save it for the pick section at the end. Thursday night football, the final Thursday night football of the season, Sterling. It's not a great one. It's Seahawks against Bears.
Ew.
Shocked about the spread. Only 3-point spread in favor of the Seahawks. The Bears stink.
Seahawks have to have it too.
Oh, yeah. If they lose it.
Seahawks have to have this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bears are bad, man.
The Bears' defense was good for a majority of the season, which kind of made me bet on them a few times to cover the spread. Their defense has fallen off. Like, since week 11, they're like bottom 5 in almost every single defensive metric. I don't know if that's from the firing of Matt Eberflus, if that is they've just kind of given up and they've lost momentum. Matthew says, yeah, I'm glad Ian is picking the Steelers. Yeah, chalk up another win for the Chiefs. Although I was on the Chiefs this past week. It's a nice bet. I will not be on them this week. I will be taking the Steelers. I'll take the points, though. I've learned my lesson taking money line against Chiefs. So Chiefs win by 2. I'm laughing. Actually, not laughing, but I'll win my bet. Yeah, Bears defense has now become one of the worst in the NFL over the past 6-7 weeks. So I have no faith in the Bears. The Seahawks still confuse me. I still don't understand how good of a team the Seahawks are or aren't. They seem to be. It's like a different version of the Seahawks show up every single week. But I'll lay the points with them on this one. Any other thoughts for Seahawks Bears?
Agreed. No, I'm
all right.
Same boat.
Saturday, we got a triple header starting with the Chargers and the Patriots. The Chargers can lock up a playoff spot with a win at New England. New England only 4.5-point underdog, though. Valiant effort against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, man. Drake May, they have their guy, I think. Drake May looks pretty darn solid.
And it looks solid with truly nothing around him. His offensive line is the worst in the NFL. His best weapon is
Kayshon Boutte.
Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry.
Yeah, Douglas. I mean, what Drake May is doing is pretty impressive down there.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Again, if you're a Patriots fan, I think you're excited. Like, losing's great, honestly, because you get better draft position. You get a couple wide receivers in the draft. Maybe you get a free agent wide receiver. You start building that offensive lineup. Mayo can clearly coach, at least a little bit. The defense is still, I think, better than the sum of its parts. So you have that going for you. Obviously, I love the Chargers in this one just in general because Harbaugh, my goodness, the job he's done. But if you're a New England fan, I think you're pretty thrilled heading into next season.
Chargers are going to be an interesting case in this one. I mean, they beat the Falcons a few weeks ago in a game that they kind of were outplayed. Lost to the Chiefs, got destroyed by the Buccaneers. And then in the first half against the Broncos, it was like, oh, this Chargers team might be done. Like they might just lose out and be toast. And then they caught fire in the second half, came back and beat the Broncos, scored a bunch of points late. So now it's like, what version of the Chargers are going to show up? Is it going to be the second half against the Broncos version of the Chargers? Is it going to be the version of the Chargers that lost 40-17 to the Buccaneers? Which version of this defense, which version of Justin Herbert, which version of this receiving core is going to show up? One thing I think we can say for sure, which is going to cost them, I mean, at this point, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but it's going to kind of keep them from going on a run here, is they have no run game. Gus Edwards, not good. Vidal, not the answer. J.K. Dobbins going down sneakily might have been like the end of their hopes.
Yeah, one thing I will say about the Chargers and with Justin Herbert, they are one of the few teams that you saw against the Broncos. When they get down, they're not out of games. They don't like to play that style of football. They are more of a traditional short passes. They do like to run the football and play physical. But when they do get down, Herbert is one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL who can drag a team back. He can. Yep. Now, they don't have a whole bunch of legit wins or playoff wins to show for it, but he does make things interesting. Again, that the Broncos game, perfect example of it. I've always wondered why they don't do that more often. They did it with Staley. They somewhat do it with Harbaugh, although they're at least winning football games now with Harbaugh. You have one of the better quarterbacks in football. Use him.
Yep, for sure. The middle game on Saturday might be the most interesting game of the entire Week 17 slate. Outside of maybe Falcons, Commanders might edge it out. But Broncos and Bengals, because now if the Bengals win this game as 3-point home favorites, all of a sudden we go into Week 18 with that wild card spot completely up in the air. Now, if the Chargers, the AFC playoff picture might be decided by the end of the day Saturday, because if the Chargers win, the Broncos win, it's over. Both those teams will be in the playoffs, and we might have some seeding issues for Week 18, but we'll have the 7 teams. But this is an interesting one. The Bengals, it seems like, have been dead several times this season. They have life, and at least this week they control their destiny of whether or not they're still going to be in the mix heading into Week 18.
Yeah, this will be a all-hands-on-deck game for the Bengals. I like them in this one. I don't want to like them. This is hard. If you're a Chiefs fan, you root for the Bengals, the Broncos. Like, this is like a ooh. I root for John Elway or Joe Burrow. Like, I don't like that. I just unbiased. I think the Bengals probably win because, again, they have more to play for. I mean, the Bengals, I guess the Broncos do too, but they have a little bit of a buffer. Bengals have no buffer. And the Bengals, for all their faults, for everything you can say about them, this game won't be too big for them. Like, they've been in the playoffs a lot with the Joe Burrow era, with Joe and Jamar and the moment won't be too big. Will the moment be too big for a rookie quarterback like Bo Nix? That's my question.
Joe Burrow's quietly having like a historic season, but it doesn't really matter because they're probably not going to be in the playoffs, which is crazy. Best season of his career, I believe, by a significant margin. 39 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Ooh, 281.9 yards per game. Not good enough when you got no defense.
He's been great, but I mean, I don't mean to do this.
You're going to.
I'm going to. You realize Patrick had this exact defense, right? Like I love that no one. And then what happened?
What do you mean? What do you mean he had this exact same defense?
You don't remember the Bob Sutton era defense before Spags got there? This was what it was. They were the worst ranked defense in football. They were horrible. Atrocious. It was an atrocity.
I wish you could have told me you're going to bring that up because I got to look into it. You're telling me that they won a Super Bowl with the worst defense in the NFL?
No. Didn't win. They made the playoffs. That was, I believe, the year they lost to the Patriots.
So what year would that have been?
That would have been 2018, right?
I'm getting to the bottom of this really quick. Finish your thought.
Yeah. The point is, as great as Burrow's been, and he's been outstanding, so fun to watch. If you watch every single game, or you watch a lot of the games, there are situations where I wish Joe Burrow would take what was given to him. There's multiple times that I saw on 4th down, or you maybe need 2 yards, and he tries for the deep ball. Like, I saw it to Jermaine Burton multiple times. On 4th down, you lose that game. You're playing great. You've had an unreal game. Why are you going on a deep ball to Jermaine Burton on 4th and 2? Not once, but twice. Like, it's some of those nuances. Again, the game's not on you. I'm not saying you lost the team that game, but you had an opportunity to put the team on your back and win it. Get those 2 yards.
You are a Cincinnati hater, truly.
How is that a Cincinnati hater? What?
Why can't I see Kansas City on this list? I went 2019. It's 2018 is the year you're referring to.
Correct.
Points per game, you're right, very similar.
Yeah, sorry about that. But no one wants to bring it up because you can't credit the Chiefs. You can't credit Patrick. You can't credit the fact that Patrick took that team all the way.
What? This is why I hate Chiefs fans. What other credit do you want, Sterling? They won the Super Bowl 3 times. He's a multi-MVP, Super Bowl MVP. The sports world worships the ground he walks on. And Chiefs fans are like, nobody gives any credit to Patrick Mahomes. What else do you want us to do, Sterling? I think he's pretty much the consensus number 1 quarterback in the NFL. All I did when I brought that up is saying Joe Burrow's having a historic season.
Yeah.
They could have been in the same situation the Chiefs were in 2018, but some late game situations haven't gone their way. And maybe they still will be.
And
they're not done yet.
I do think
And now I just became a massive Bengals fan. I hope the Bengals make the playoffs, and I hope they beat the Chiefs. Wouldn't that be a nightmare for you? How much of a nightmare would that be? The Bengals make the playoffs, and then like a 500 Bengals team just destroys the Chiefs in their first game.
You know what I'd say? 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That would still be a nightmare. That would be, admit it, that's a nightmare situation.
2 out of 3.
I'm going to be rooting for that. Oh, that's going to be fun. All right. So Broncos and Bengals 3-point home favorites in that one. And then Saturday night finishes off with the Cardinals and Rams. The Rams in firm control of the NFC West now by beating the Jets in week 16 and the Seahawks losing to the Vikings. I don't know what the tiebreak situation is. I can look that up in a second. But, I mean, if the Rams win this game, I don't know. Does week 18 matter if they win this game? It might not.
Yeah, the NFC West has been perplexing to say the least. I don't know what to make of any of the 4 teams. The Niners are done. Cardinals look like they're done. Seahawks are somehow still in, but we talked about it. Who are they? But who are the Rams? Is their offense good? Are they consistent? What is their defense? I have no idea. I cannot get a read on the Rams. The second I'm ready to buy into them and their offense, they let me down. The second I'm like, okay, the Rams, I'm out. They do something incredible. I have no idea what to make of this team.
Yeah, the Rams, I guess it comes down to week 18 if both teams win, but then if the Seahawks win week 18, they'd have the same record, so I don't know what the tie-break situation would be. But yeah, the Cardinals have fallen off. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray in December is not good. And that continued this past week. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but you got to be better than that against the Panthers.
Agreed. You can't lose to the Panthers in a playoff. Playoff hopes were still in the line at that point.
Yeah. Really quickly, we don't need to touch on this game too much. Jets and Bills. Bills 9.5-point home favorites.
Love the Bills in this one.
Yeah. I had faith in the Jets against the Rams. Their offense, well, they just went for it on fourth down every time. They were just like 4th and 6th in their own end. Yeah, we'll go for it. And it just didn't work.
Yeah, I don't know what the Jets do.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is he wants to come back. Now he says he'll mentor a guy. He'll be there to mentor a young rookie. Yeah, of course that means Aaron Rodgers is still playing. And he knows he's not going to be there when the rookie is going to take over for him. Do the Jets even want him back? If I'm the Jets, I move on. If I'm the Jets, I say, screw that. We're done. This did not work. We tried 2 years of it. We got 18 games of it, and it was an atrocity. We move on.
Jalen Butler says, I would sign up for Bengals upsetting Buffalo in the wild card, and the Bengals come into Burrowhead for the divisional. That would be fun. Yeah, I guess they would play Buffalo too, wouldn't they? Yeah, so for this dream situation, how about Buffalo gets the number 1 seed and the Bengals play the Chiefs in the first round? How about that?
Yeah, I hope the Bengals make the playoffs, by the way, because they're not good. So that's fine.
I mean, it's not going to happen because nothing bad ever happens to the Chiefs now, but if I could have one Christmas wish, if I could ask Santa Claus for one thing this year, you know what? I'll even sacrifice. I would sacrifice the Falcon season for the Bengals to make the playoffs and beat the Chiefs in the first round. That's how much of a hater I am right now. Trevor says Bengals Bills would be way more fun than Broncos Bills. That's definitely correct. That's kind of why I want the Bengals in the playoffs, because they're fun. I do like the Broncos, but they're not necessarily a fun team. Jalen, I kind of think they should run it back. Trevor, I hope the Bengals make the playoffs. I do too. They're fun. Packers against Vikings. The Packers, I think, have been eliminated from NFC North contention. So this game is actually, like I said, they could drop to the 7th seed, so they just need to kind of keep winning in order to hang on to the 6th seed. Obviously, they still play tonight, but they will take on the Vikings, and the Vikings still have a chance for not only the NFC North crown, have a chance to be the number 1 seed, especially with the Eagles losing. That really opens things up for the Vikings in order to basically, if they win the NFC North, they will probably be the number 1 seed, which would be crazy if all season we've been, even though the Vikings have had the same record all season, everyone's been like Lions, Eagles, Lions, Eagles, Lions, Eagles. And then for the last second, Vikings to snag the number 1 seed.
Yeah. Skull. I mean, my goodness. Again, Sam Darnold, the resurgence of Sam. But you also see what happens when you give a good head coach, a good organization, and good weapons around a player. They can succeed. You put them with the Jets in that dumpster fire, you see the results. I'm so happy for Sam Darnold. I'm happy for Vikings and Vikings fans. Now, you do have a relatively tough situation next season, but don't worry about next season and who you go with, whether it's Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, because this is the year you have Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson. If your last name ends in an N, you're going to be a stud on this team.
Aaron Jones quietly having a great season too.
Yeah, it's just they keep going under the radar, and they keep winning. Their defense is really good. They throw a whole bunch of stuff at you. Yeah, I would imagine that Jordan Love throws, 2 interceptions this game?
I think the Packers win this game.
Wow.
Yeah. I like the Vikings. I like what they've done. The Packers, I think, are, even though they're both winning games at the same rate, statistically, the Packers have played better football lately.
By the way, we can still be on the same page. Packers can still win, and Jordan Love could still throw 2 interceptions.
True. Could happen.
Yeah.
Yep. Because even if you look back since week 10. In terms of opponent EPA, Packers still actually have had a better defense lately. Success rate, Vikings have had a slightly better defense. So I think because of how well they played the first half of the season, the Vikings defense, we just assume the Vikings defense has been better. But actually the Packers defense has been, I wouldn't say better, but the gap between these two defenses I don't think is as big as people think it is.
Fair.
Which, I mean, a 2-point home spread for the Vikings basically means the betting market thinks this is a pick 'em at a neutral site.
Yeah, agreed. So, should be electric.
Yeah. And then the game of the week, Sunday Night Football. The Commanders are going to crush us. It's going to be a shit show. We're going to lose by 30 points. This is Jaden Daniel. The Falcons have never in my life done well against mobile quarterbacks. Mobile quarterbacks always just crush us, even if it's like not really good mobile quarterbacks, but like guys who can escape the pocket and get some yards with their legs just crush us every time. Jaden Daniels is going to have a field day. And Penix just hasn't had enough experience. It's a big moment. It's prime time. This is going to be a blowout. I'm going to be betting alt line Commanders like -20. I said this when they played the Vikings too, and the Vikings crushed us. Like it's just not a good matchup for the Falcons, unfortunately. Like really, I really need the Panthers to beat the Bucs, so then we're still alive even if we lose.
Yeah, I'm nervous for you.
Yeah,
I'm nervous for you. Last time I tried to talk you up, right? I tried talking just take the opposite. When everyone thinks it's going to do one thing, it's the opposite's going to happen. No, the opposite didn't happen. The Falcons got waxed. It's kind of the same thing in this game. I don't know, man. Maybe Micahel Penix Jr. can get enough going offensively to keep it close. I don't know if I would take the 20-point line that you're laying on the Commanders, but yeah, this feels like a game that the Commanders somewhat rolling.
I will say the Falcons' defense has played a lot better lately. Like I think they have like 12 sacks in their last 6 games, which is crazy based on the like they had like 9 in the first 10 games, and then now they've had like 12 in their last 6. So defense is getting better. They're finding ways to get after the quarterback. The Commanders' offensive line has looked suspect at times. The Saints sacked them like 8 times. So I see that there is a path there, but I don't see it. So, and this game is literally almost quite literally winning they're in for the Falcons. Because if they lose, they're out. Because if the Bucs beat the Panthers, Falcons lose the Commanders, we would need the Saints to beat the Bucs in Week 18, and that's just not going to happen. The Saints have nothing left.
And then the double or nothing is your only hope.
Yeah. So the game of the season, game of the decade. Well, not game of the decade. We played in the Super Bowl in the past decade, but it's the biggest. Probably this will be the biggest game since the Super Bowl. Since the playoff game the year after the Super Bowl, this is the biggest game.
Not any game that Desmond Ridder was there?
No. This is the first time since 2017, 2018 that the Falcons have won more than 7 games. We won like 7 games like in 5 straight seasons. We now have 8 wins. So that's a step in the right direction. All right, let's get through our Week 17 picks. Sterling, you went 0-3 in Week 16. I did not do much better. I went 1-2. I hit the Ravens -6, which was a nice winner. You picked against my Falcons like an idiot. Took the Giants +8.5. Drew Lock stinks.
Yeah.
He's dust.
He's buns.
Yeah.
Great college, though. Great college quarterback.
Yeah. Bears did not get the upset for me. It turns out even if you have injuries on defense, if your offense just scores every time they touch the football, it's not going to matter. Seahawks, close, but no cigar for you for an upset pick over the Vikings. Cardinals, Panthers, I took under 47. It went into overtime at 30-30, I think. So nope. And you took Rams, Jets over 46, which I think was the lowest scoring game of the year or of the week.
Yeah, that was great. That's why I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
So.
Cool.
We could not have. I think literally I took the under on the highest scoring game of the week, and you took the over on the lowest scoring game of the week. So
we're nails, dude.
Yeah.
We're nails.
All right, Week 17, my spread pick. I just talked about it. The Commanders -5 against the Falcons. They're gonna steam, and this is not. People are gonna think I'm just trying to do a reverse jinx. Is that a part of it? Maybe a small bit, but I said this when the Falcons played the Vikings too. I can sniff out a bad stylistic matchup. This is a terrible stylistic matchup. Commanders cover 5 against the Falcons.
Seahawks -3 for me against the Bears. The Seahawks have a lot to play for, and the Bears stink.
Upset. It's a small one. I haven't hit an upset winner since I think week 2. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to go Packers +105 again. Last week, it wasn't on this show. It was on my podcast. I took 49ers as an upset against the Packers or against the Dolphins. The 49ers then closed as a favorite, still lost. Like, I just can't hit a plus money pick. This week, I'll take Packers +105 against the Vikings.
I'll roll with Cardinals. Cardinals-Rams. I told you the Rams are inconsistent. They won an inconsistent game, right, against the Jets. Cardinals, I don't know how many times I've won or lost with the Cardinals as my upset pick. I feel like they're almost always my upset pick, and I'm plus money. So I'll roll with the Cardinals one more time.
For total, I'll go Ravens, Texans under 47 and a half. Actually moved up half a point, under 47 and a half. Both defenses in the top 5 in opponent EPA and opponent success rate since week 11. Both offenses banged up. Texans have no receivers left outside Nico Collins. Ravens might be without Zay Flowers. 2 injured offenses going up against 2 very hot defenses. Total at 47 and a half. I'll go under.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, actually. Falcons Commanders, I'm going over 47 and a half because life is too short to bet the under in. Commanders just put up points, dude. Hey, love the mug.
There you go.
Love the mug. Yeah, I'll go over in that game. What do you think? Is that smart? Dumb?
The Commanders are going to score 40 points. So, yeah, you probably just need the Falcons to score 8, and you'll probably hit the over.
Okay, good. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah. All right, that's our show. That is, there we go. We ripped through that. The Christmas special, the holiday special episode of Stacking the Box. We recap last week. We previewed this upcoming week. Sign up for an account at Underdog. Use the code Stacking the Box. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly, and a little holiday gift for you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, everyone. Happy Festivus. Sterling, final thoughts.
Yeah, you took it. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Like, this is awesome. This time of year is incredible. I love it. Enjoy it. If you live in a place that snows, I hope it snows for you on Christmas.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you have snow?
No, we're not going to snow here in KC. I love snow on Christmas. It makes me happy. Brings me joy. Okay?
Oh,
so I hope someone else gets that
New York might
joy.
get a little snow tomorrow. That'd be nice. All right. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Next week, we'll have the same deal with it being kind of the New Year's. We'll have a super show on Monday and no snow on Wednesday, since I guess New Year's Eve is either Tuesday or Wednesday. So, yeah, super show 9:30 a.m. Eastern next week. Best luck with your bets. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you then. Bye.